Story 1. Keeping busy, taking time, and trying to remember her flaws whenever I thought about her. She wasn't perfect. None of us are. Story 2. I explored various hobbies and tried to discover new interests. Eventually, the excitement fades over time. It never completely disappears, but you may stop caring. Story 3. Focus on the reasons the relationship ended whenever she comes to mind. Understand and accept that, at least for me, the reason I would miss her wasn't because I actually missed her. It was because I had become accustomed to her presence. What I truly missed was the feeling of familiarity I had developed with her. In my experience, the loss of someone who feels familiar and knowing that they and everything about them are gone forever is a significant source of pain in a breakup. It's a powerful feeling. Story 4. Ex-girlfriend syndrome occurs when you only remember the good things about your former partner and the positive aspects of the relationship. I used to do this all the time. Recently, I saw her and thought, wow, I dodged a bullet. I reflected deeply and realized that she was actually a terrible girlfriend, and I should have focused on my current girlfriend. I regret that. Story 5. I remembered she was very accident-prone. Several times she slipped and fell. Story 6. I found someone else with whom I felt the same lightning strike. I'm sorry to report that before that, nothing else really worked, and that took years. Otherwise, time helps, but it's not a cure-all. Story 7. Take the time to get to know yourself again. Make sure to not bring old relationship baggage into a new one. Become the person you would want to be with, and then seek someone who complements you better. Story 8. I found ways to love myself more than he ever loved me, and then I realized that I didn't love him in the first place. Story 9. I saw the person she chose over me and decided that if she makes such poor life choices, she is not worth being in my thoughts. Story 10. To improve my situation, I usually cut off contact entirely. The rest of the process involves meeting new and interesting people until I find someone I particularly like. Story 11. One day I was really sad, and the next day I just wasn't. I woke up and realized I was fine. It was as if I had been cured. Story 12. No single thing works. I will always miss one particular ex because she represented an era in my life's journey that felt authentic and deeply connected. Peaks and valleys exist in every relationship, and she expressed a desire for more peaks while leaving me in the valley. I am not the first nor the last to experience this, but the grieving of her departure, my identity within that partnership, and the life plans we can no longer pursue is a heavy burden to carry when you're the one left behind. But in time, life shifts. Maybe you move to a new city or get a new job. You pick up new hobbies, and little by little, the tattered pieces of you that were attached to that ex begin to shed and regenerate as your own unique self. There's a scar, but it's not painful anymore. It's just another narrative in what you hope is a long tapestry of life. Alternatively, you could choose to let go, get a dog, hit the gym, and move on from the person who hurt you. Story 13. I remembered that my former partner was unstable and unfaithful. They treated me poorly and manipulated me. They never supported me during my tough times and used those moments against me. Story 14. First, there is relief from dealing with them. Second, there is time. Third, and most importantly, a new partner will bring a sense of renewal. You will stop missing them. It is the magic of life. Story 15. Focus on why things never worked out. Things work or do not work for a reason. Let go of the thought of what could have been if, and avoid meaningless thinking. Story 16. By not idealizing her and focusing more on myself than on memories of her. Different people have varying definitions of what getting over someone means, but for me, that's what it usually comes down to. Story 17. It depends on the experience. I moved on easily enough because if one person is not happy in a relationship, it is detrimental to their well-being. I still think about her and want her to be happy. I have not stopped. I no longer think about her during personal moments. Story 18. Of course, it will take time. However, it takes much less time when you remove them from your life as much as possible. Block them on all social media platforms. If possible, ask them to block you as well. Discard or hide anything that reminds you of them. Out of sight, out of mind. Story 19. Create a list of everything you disliked about your ex and all the ways they wronged you. When you miss them, refer to the list, read through it, and feel grateful that you are no longer together. Story 20. I stopped believing that he might treat me better one day. Once I accepted that, all the longing ceased. I still think of him sometimes, but I do not really wish to see him again. It would be fine for him to reach out, just as it is fine with me if he never reaches out again. Story 21. Time goes by, and after another year and another decade, I still have not found anyone else. However, time is the reason she no longer dominates my thoughts or saddens me. Story 22. I was stuck in a compulsive, toxic loop with my ex. An amazing combination of therapy and meeting the right person at the right time finally helped me stop repeating mistakes. Story 23. I woke up to my surroundings. Shadows follow you, and sometimes the shadows from another latch onto you, almost like a presence following you, hating you for things that you haven't done. But that's just words against words, and some people's words mean less than others in this game of life. Story 24. To some extent, the human brain is programmable. The more time you spend thinking about something, the more pathways your brain creates to process that thought. Explore new interests, make new friends, and join new groups. Begin filling your mind with diverse thoughts. Allow yourself a day off if needed. Wake up and declare, I will not dwell on negative thoughts today. Then, make a conscious effort to interrupt those negative thought patterns before they start. Story 25. I believe I will always miss certain aspects of each ex-boyfriend. That said, I have found other ways to fill my time, such as hiking, attending comedy shows, and engaging in fulfilling work. Story 26. I had no choice. He left me alone for a month without any text or call, completely absent. He came back a month later without an excuse, thinking everything would be fine. I was already gone. Story 27. When I broke up with the love of my life, my first ever girlfriend, it was hard. I started doing home workouts during the COVID-19 pandemic. I played games all night long with my friends who made me laugh. For those who didn't play, I used to video call or audio call them, which was a good distraction. I binged Netflix and found great shows. In short, I kept myself busy. Then one day, I blocked her on all my social media and tried to move on. I didn't indulge in any other relationships as I didn't want to rush and get hurt again. It became easier over time. However, there were rough moments too. I missed her a lot, stalked her online, and thought about her almost all the time. But when new girls came into my life, I knew I had moved on. Am I in a relationship? No. Why? Because I don't want to be. Feels too stressful for me, and I'm not allowed to be in one either. Maybe being free is what I need. I don't want to put in any effort anymore. I just want to have a good time now, enjoy the moment, and not feel tied down. Story 28. Being forced to live with them for an extended period after the breakup made me grateful to finally be able to leave. Story 29. Therapy is essential. Take your time to heal, renew your space, explore new hobbies, and express gratitude through a heartfelt letter. Wish them well for the future. Do not replace the person, as that will only repeat the cycle. Story 30. I kept in touch with them. They did not handle the breakup well, even though they were the ones who cheated and still wanted to keep me around. Eventually, they said many hurtful things that reminded me why I had to leave that relationship. So, whenever I felt the urge to miss them return, I responded to their messages for a reality check. Story 31. Sometimes I think about them, and it hurts. It has been 15 years. I knew they were the one and messed it up through youthful mistakes. But time healed it, and a great partner helped too. I no longer miss them, and I don't think about what could have been. Story 32. Remove them from everywhere, block them, and delete or discard everything you own that reminds you of them. I mean anything. I have just ended a 2-year relationship, and it's probably the worst pain I have ever felt in my life. After I got rid of everything, I felt so much better because I can no longer check on what they are doing. Trust me, it is the best decision. Story 33. It has been different answers for each situation. Broadly speaking, over time, I have both accepted my feelings and changed my perspective. I will always love them, but learning to be at peace with the reality you are in now is essential. Story 34. I have never stopped missing what we had and the life we could have had, but it helps to think about my life now, who I have become, and how he would not fit into it. I like my life. Story 35. Not really an ex for me, but someone I cared deeply for, maybe too much. I feel broken and I should probably stop looking for love because I am a disappointing mess. It's still early for me, and I really can't find any more reasons to live. Story 36. Remember, she was never the person I thought she was. She lied from day one. The person I fell in love with was never real. That is why she didn't need to hear from me for weeks, while I was struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder and breakup depression. Story 37. In my early 20s, I would move on to someone else. Now in my early 30s, I find that spending time by myself does a world of good. Story 38. It's time to focus on all the things that were a part of you all along that you suppressed or thought to yourself, someday. Story 39. First, understand who was at fault and why. If you cheated, accept it as your loss, and strive to improve to avoid making the same mistake in the future. She cheated, which may suggest she has sociopathic or narcissistic tendencies. This is her loss, meaning you now have a better path ahead. Don't dwell on it. Keep yourself busy and, most importantly, meet new people regularly. You'll find there are many good individuals out there. Additionally, if she was perfect in your eyes but had flaws you initially accepted until her betrayal, it indicates she wasn't right for you. There may be someone who, while not perfect, lacks those devastating traits and will love you genuinely. It is essential to appreciate qualities like loyalty, trust, care, and peace of mind. I'm not suggesting you settle, but rather focus on personal growth and search for a life partner. Ultimately, we may be alone in this life, but it's better to be alone than to be unhappy with someone else. Story 40. I had to accept what I didn't want to. This person does not and never will love me, and there is nothing I can do to change that. I also had to accept that I'm better off alone than with someone who truly does not care about me or my feelings. Story 41. I healed my anxious attachment wound with a skilled therapist and reframed my feelings about the end of my relationship. Now, I cherish the fond memories of our time together and appreciate that the relationship concluded when it did. Story 42. With almost all of them, it only took time. In some cases, only minutes. For others, months. For a couple of them, it has never stopped and may never, and that's fine. I consider myself lucky to have had relationships that left me with memories worth remembering. Whenever the thought crosses my mind that I wish I was back together with any of them, I remind myself of why it didn't work out in the first place, and that's always enough to end those thoughts. Story 43. It took a couple of years, but I eventually found someone better for me, and it worked out very well. One should not look to others to make one happy. Find happiness within yourself and share that with the person you find. Story 44. Not everything revolves around someone or something. Life goes on. Don't take a single minute for granted. Invest your time more wisely instead of dwelling on the past. There are many interesting and worthwhile things to consider in life. The perfect projection of someone we miss is an idea, not the actual person. Story 45. I misled my mind into believing he is unpleasant. I appreciated everything about him, but now I only feel a strange pity when I think of him. Story 46. Dating someone new. After months of heartache, I woke up one day and decided to let go of my past. I surprised myself. Even when I bumped into my first ex on the street, I no longer cared. I was tired of feeling unhappy and broken. Story 47. When I missed him, I forced myself to remember the bad, sad, and horrible times. Most importantly, I reminded myself why I broke up with him. He was a terrible person, so it wasn't hard to get over him. Still, the best advice I give to people when they are struggling is to focus on the reasons for moving on. Story 48. It took me a while to stop missing my ex. Even though she cheated on me with her male coworker, I still missed her because she was my best friend since we were in high school. Eventually, I got out of the house and lived my life. The more positive memories I made, the more she faded from my mind. Now I'm happily married to my wife. We have adventures now and then, and we are doing great. As for my ex, she married the guy she cheated on me with. Their relationship lasted about 6 months before she left him. Apparently, he abused her emotionally, mentally, physically, and financially. He took her $15,000 in savings because he couldn't keep a job. It was ironic to me because she told our friends, who are now her friends, that I did that to her when I never took a cent from her or laid a hand on her. I was never that kind of man. So she went back home feeling destroyed. She also started to lose her eyesight. She couldn't catch a break. She did try to get back with me a couple of times, but I shot her hopes down before she let herself on. So just live life. Make plenty of fun and adventurous memories. Sooner or later, your ex will be nothing but a fading memory. Story 49. Great question. There are different ways to stop missing an ex. Find someone else. Try not to remember her. If you do, stop immediately. Exercise helps with stress and mood. Keep yourself busy with work, plans, and activities. Avoid listening to music for long periods. If you do listen, choose something upbeat or fun, not love songs or sad tunes. Travel as much as you can. Learn new skills. And more. Story 50. Staying away to detoxify. Person can be really addictive. I still miss her from time to time, but looking at the negative experiences, I should have left her sooner. Story 51. Time. It's unrealistic to completely stop thinking about someone you were close to, but it changes from feeling intense grief to simply recognizing that they existed. It's also easier to move on if they hurt you significantly. Story 52. Sometimes you don't stop missing them. You just get better at accepting they are gone and dealing with your feelings. Personally, I relied on substances, alcohol, casual relationships, and gambling. Story 53. Give yourself reasonable time to grieve their absence before actively trying to remove them from your mind. Stay busy. Go no contact as much as possible and limit any communication with them. Spend time with friends and family who care about you. Engage in creative or productive activities. Learn to meditate and channel your thoughts so that whenever you find yourself thinking about them, you can easily direct your attention elsewhere. Story 54. I didn't miss her much after she made fun of her suicidal ex-friend for not being able to take their own life. Story 55. I kept myself busy with hobbies and going on drives and trips. When I was ready, I rejoined dating applications, and it took many attempts over 2 years before meeting my current girlfriend. Story 56. It's the lack of closure on certain things said or implied, and the accusations that made no sense which made you question yourself at the time. That has lingered more than anything else. Learning about narcissistic personalities helped me greatly to understand and move forward. Being touched by someone new also helps, if you know what I mean. Story 57. I will not think about her today, and I will repeat this each day until it becomes second nature. I received this advice from someone who struggled with alcoholism. Story 58. When I find out, I will let you know. It helps a bit that my life is somewhat of a mess, and I am constantly exhausted, so whatever brain power I have left goes toward feeding the dog, showering, possibly eating a second meal, and going to bed. Story 59. I looked at his actions and realized that there was no way he was missing me. So why would I waste energy missing him? Story 60. You will get over it. Just get up and move on. Focus on yourself. Work out and maybe pick up a hobby. You will be on your way in no time. Story 61. I just channel the negativity. She wasted the best years of my life, my money, my efforts, my love. Yeah, forget her. Story 62. I imagined hearing about my sister going through what I experienced in the relationship and how that would make me feel on her behalf. My ex was very unfaithful and manipulative, so I thought about how I would feel if I heard someone did that to the one person I hold closest to my heart. If I would loathe this person in relation to her, then I have no business missing my nostalgic and incorrect recollections of them given what they actually did to me. Story 63. It takes time. It's okay to miss them and grieve for them. Also, try to find a hobby or do something with friends or family so you can take your mind off them for a while. Story 64. If you want to move on, consider someone new. It may sound toxic, but if it's been a while since the breakup and you're still thinking about them, it might be time to open your heart to new possibilities. Story 65. Waiting for a while, then dating someone else. I still miss some of them at times. After all, they were women I was once madly in love with. That's okay. Story 66. Replace old memories with new ones. The more memories you create, the less space they will occupy in your mind. Join hiking or running groups. They are social and provide great new experiences outdoors. Travel and meet people abroad. Participate in bar crawls and walking tours. Engage in conversation with others. Spend time with friends and family as often as possible, and limit phone use. Start reading, whether self-help books or fiction, based on your preference. Stay busy, and consider therapy if it is within your means. Story 67. I realized I didn't need her. I wanted her to feel a void she wasn't experiencing while we were together. Story 68. Stay busy, not by adding people but by focusing on your skills, improving your health, and managing your finances. She will regret losing you, and by that time you will have moved on. Story 69. I gave up and accepted it was just never going to happen. It was that simple. The best part is that I got sick. I evidently had a month to live if I hadn't received treatment. My mind and body couldn't really form long-term memories very well. Once I kind of got back to normal, she was gone. So in my mind, everything was fine. And then one day I woke up, and she was just gone. Basically, I'm never going to get closure on that. I have a hole in my memory and a vague recollection that some serious things probably happened during that time. Story 70. Time and moving on to new things and people. You gradually stop thinking about them so much until you realize one day that you haven't thought of them in weeks. Such a liberating feeling. Hold out for that. It will come. Story 71. Stop thinking about them. Distract yourself with work or a new hobby. It is really difficult in the beginning, but if you keep at it, you will eventually notice that you think about them less and less. Story 72. Realizing that none of the issues I used to endure from her were my problem anymore, and there is no way I will allow them to become my problem again. Story 73. When you realize that you were trying to recreate your childhood and your unresolved parental issues with every toxic relationship, it no longer has power over you. Story 74. Out of all my exes, there is one I still miss. I learned to deal with it. It is not nice at all, and it is something I would be more than happy to avoid. I met her a week after my father was diagnosed with cancer, and she was next to me when I got the call that he passed away. We spent 3 more years together, and when things ended, there was a massive situation where we were both to blame. There hasn't been a single day since then when she hasn't crossed my mind. I just hate that we became strangers after sharing such significant moments. Story 75. I want to say first that I think she is an amazing person, and she is going to go far in her career. She is caring, intelligent, and a delight to be around. However, there are things that made it easier for me to move past her breaking up with me after being together for almost 4 years. These are the memories I recall if I ever find myself ruminating. I remember the distress I felt when she went drinking with work colleagues, sending me cryptic messages because she couldn't text properly, and then navigating the London Underground at midnight to get home, which could take between 1 to 2 hours. I would worry sick, and when she returned, she was often difficult to deal with. I also think about how I uprooted my life to live with her in London, which I disliked, and had to support her career while being happy with every choice she made for her future. However, I was not allowed to express my own feelings about it. Essentially, I compromised more than she did in every respect. Another thing to consider is how her work was everything to her, yet my happiness with my job was something she seemed to dislike. From day one, she knew I was content with my job and its benefits, and while my salary was more than decent, she always tried to convince me to push for more. Meanwhile, she did not meet my family for 2 years because she was always working when invited to events. She missed occasions due to work, and I often found myself at gatherings without her, or she would attend only for a couple of hours before heading home for a work shift. I do not hold it against her. Truly, I am glad we parted ways because I cannot go through that with someone again. Story 76. Cliché, but it really is time to move on. The relationship was gradually fading rather than ending abruptly, and I realized that we both deserved better. I focused on my future and eventually found a new partner. My ex was my first love, and our relationship lasted 4 years. So it wasn't easy, but it did happen. Story 77. I realized that my life is quite similar without her, but with less pressure on myself to think about everything, as she was unable to behave like an adult. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.